everybody, and welcome to this, the Evolution Sim Racing highlights package from Fuji International Speedway in the F4s. Steve Everson sends his apologies. He was due to be doing this highlights package, but sent a very sincere message earlier in the newsroom chat. We were all very concerned. It seemed like he'd been rushed off his feet, very busy with work. Since transpired that he's actually been getting smashed off his tits for the last 5 days. So, 'tis I, Lord Pendlebury. So, here we go. The dawn is breaking on a new season in Evolution Simland. We got a bright sunny start. That's mainly down to iRacing 2 decades in, still not getting a rain model in place. So we go into this one expecting dry weather throughout, at most cloudy skies. Now, if we cast our eyes to the top left of the screen, I'll stop waffling on and talk us through the starting grid. We have Dan Slattery, defending champion, in pole position. We have Jeff Sharp, an ever-present person, I suppose, at the front of the roster, in second. We then have Jamie Nicholson with Will Thomas alongside him. It'll be interesting to see how Will does this season, as he came in halfway through but showed a lot of promise, so I'm sure he'll be hoping for a good one. Then we have Chris Hulse, who's hoping to be a bit more present this season as well, with Stephen Lacotta in 6th. Stephen, please tell me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, as I don't want to be offensive. We then have Steve Everson in 7th place, with Axel Edwards alongside in 8th. Josh Morris and Brian Dodd are on the 5th row, and we have Paul Nicholson in the 6th row, all on his own. Now, this should be a fun one. I've got no idea what happened really, other than seeing the results, as I wasn't here, and I suspect I may have uncovered a plot to make sure I don't race in open wheelers, because I was unavailable for 2 out of the 3 open wheelers this season, but we can revisit that in the steward's room at a later date. Let's get cracking. And they are off. Lots of puffs of tyre smoke. We go down to the turn 1 camera. There's a bit of movement from Everson at the back there. Oh, someone's locked up ahead. And who's that that's gone wide? Oh, hello. Something just what I saw. I think a front wing go flying across there. It's not been a great start for Slattery. He went wide. We're hoping that the race director is going to be a little bit better this season. Not really expecting too much from him though. Slattery looking up the inside of Will Thomas there. Nothing doing though. Looks like Thomas is now making a bid for the lead against Sharp. Now into the tricky final sector. We raced this track though pretty close to the end of last season, so everyone will be familiar. Generally looks like a fairly clean lap for everyone there, other than Steve Everson, who is still struggling through that final sector. It may well have been his front wing that jettisoned across the track. We'll go and take a look. So here we are, looking down on things from the chopper. Everson front and centre, just drops that rear end, and I'm not sure who clipped him there. It wasn't his front wing that went flying across the track. Rear wing it is, and yes, he'll have lost a fair amount of downforce there. Now rejoining the front of the grid, where we just have a massive gaggle of cars coming through 100R now. Number 7 car of Josh Morris going all the way around the outside of Slattery there. I think something must have happened to Slattery. He's not usually that slow. I fear there may have been something else that's gone on, especially as Will Thomas has dropped down the order. We're going to have to go and take a look at that now as well. That's frustrating that I've missed that out of practice after the off-season, you see. That and Steve's been getting pissed, so I wasn't expecting to do this. So anyway, let's go and have a look. So here we go, looking back, focusing on Slattery. Let's see what happened here. He looked to the inside there of Will Thomas. Will Thomas was, oh well, I don't want to apportion blame here, but that was all Dan's fault. Sorry Dan, but you're going to have to go back to the nickname Splattery. Just got the braking a little bit too late into the side of Thomas, and then there was nowhere for Nicholson to go. He went straight into the side. Here we go then. Through that final tricky sector, and Morris spins to the infield. Oh, nearly drives into the barrier. Thinks better of that. The barrier will win that one. That's unfortunate. It had been a good start for him in this race. So, rejoining the live action here, and the recovering Will Thomas is coming up against Axel Edwards. Just to bring you up to speed, we've had Steve Everson, Dan Slattery and Jamie Nicholson all having to pit for repairs early doors here. And it looks like Thomas has got a run up the inside there, but it becomes the outside for turns 8 and 9, or 300R. Coming through turn 3. Oh, Axel has left the door open there. Will's up the inside. Will Axel hang it out around the outside? Looks like he will. He's done a good job there. Holds on to the position well. Looks like Thomas has gone for the switchback, but he's on the inside line again. Coming out of that corner, but it becomes the outside line again. Edwards goes defensive as they go through 300R. Thomas out to the wide. This is a great battle from these two. Oh, and Edwards has spun. I'm not sure what happened there. Race director's done another classic bit of censorship there. Maybe it was a bit too traumatic for some viewers, but we are going to go back and have a look at that. So viewer discretion is advised. So here we are on board with Edwards. New camera for this season. The rear wing cam, and you can just see he was losing it from about midway through the corner. But does very well to recover that. And Paul, if you're watching, I think you'll appreciate this camera angle. Just saying. I await my check. Here we go then, taking a look a little bit further back down the grid to the pit stop boys. Oh, hello, who was that? Paul Nicholson taking a spin. Maybe my check will bounce. But this does look like it's getting a little bit tasty. We've got Slattery and Nicholson who have been closing up on Morris. Nicholson takes a look to the inside. Morris leaves him room. Looks like they're going to be too wide around nets. Oh, bit of a shove out there from Morris, but it looks like Nicholson's managed to gain a bit of advantage. But fucking yow, says Slattery. Up the inside of both of them. He'll be hoping to disappear into the distance. We got Morris trying to hang it out side by side with Nicholson. He's clinging on at the moment, but Nicholson will have a bit of slipstream from the back end of Slattery. On board with Nicholson now, taking a look there. Oh, Slattery is got a big handful of oversteer there. I'm not sure how he ended up locking a right front there. That doesn't seem to make sense. But it's given Nicholson the chance to get up his inside for the Coca-Cola corner. Slattery is off the track. This is giving Morris a chance to get involved again. He's going all the way around the outside. This will be a sensational move if he pulls it off. Good job we can't see it. Well, that's a shame. It was nearly a sensational move, but Yep, there's the confirmation. As you didn't appear in front of Slattery, it means you must be behind him. Now, can Slattery close in on Nicholson, or will this give Nicholson the chance to pull away? Doesn't look like he will, though. Question is, will they carry Morris with them? Now, cutting a little bit further forward, we have the battle for third place between Hulse and Thomas. But never mind, says the race director. They were side by side. Ah, here we go again. They're still side by side. Race director says that's a long straight. We can't watch that all the time. Well, Thomas holds the inside line well there. Will Hulse dive back into that slipstream. Taking a look at the inside. Oh, this would be a bold move here. Decides against it. It's been a good recovery here from Thomas after a unfortunate incident with Splattery. Speaking of which, is he going to nail Nicholson here? He doesn't. Now dropping a bit further forward in the highlights, and Slattery's got a run on Nicholson. On the brakes hard from both of them. Nicholson tries to run all the way around the outside, but it wasn't going to work. Tucks back in behind Slattery. Only a short amount of time, only 5 minutes left of this race. You do feel like this battle is going to rage on down to the wire. Ooh, I think we'll stick with it, and will we? Nicholson looking like he's getting ready to line something up there. I'd imagine an overtake. Oh, they're just too close to come away from this. Maybe we'll cut this out later. Who knows? He is all over him. On board we go. Back to the rear wing cam. We can really get a load of the pink side of Nicholson's livery. It's you wouldn't miss him in a dark car park, would you, in that livery? We're just going to crack on at this point. Nicholson has definitely got a decent run. Are they just going to be trading positions at turn 1? Pulls out from the slipstream. And he's got it done before the corner. Slattery's definitely let him have that one. By a long way, actually. He's, like, I dare say Slattery may not have intended on giving up quite so much distance to Nicholson there. But, yeah, we'll see how it goes. So, when taking stock of the roster, I noticed that something had happened. So, we're looking back at this replay of Will Thomas and just catches the grass. Exactly where I did last season and ended my championship hopes. And that is Mr. Hulse sneaking his way up the inside. Sneaking his way up the track, really. It wasn't the inside at all. But yeah, unfortunate mistake there from Will. It had been a good recovery drive, and it still has been, but a mistake that will no doubt have stung. So here we join the very uninterested looking VIP spectators to watch Jeff Sharp. We've barely seen him at all this race. Come across the line. A good first win for him in a man that admits that open wheelers are not his bag. Then have Stephen Licota, who comes through in second, with Chris Hulse rounding out the podium after Will Thomas's mistake. Will comes home fourth. Jamie Nicholson and Dan Slattery have done a good job of recovering there, considering the antics of lap 2 in 5th and 6th respectively. We then have Axel Edwards coming home in 7th, with Josh Morris in 8th. Steve Everson comes home 9th. Sorry Steve, I'm tired. Then we have Paul rounding out the final points position in 10th, and Brian Dodd comes home 11th. Yeah, we will see you for the next... Oh, I didn't realise I'd framed Mount Fuji so wonderfully in this shot. If there was ever proof that nothing that I do with the camera angles on this is deliberate, there it is. Mount Fuji for you. We'll be back for race 2 very shortly. Hello and welcome back to the feature race in the FIA Formula 4s, as we're now allowed to call them, at Fuji International Raceway. It is the first feature race of this season. If you don't know the format, it is 45 minutes long with mandatory pit stop. It also means it's the first time I get to play the Guess the Livery game at the start of the race. So let's get cracking and see how I do. So, starting in first place, it is Brian Dodd with Paul Nicholson alongside in the 14 car. We then have Steve Everson with Josh Morris in 4th. On the third row of the grid, we have Axel Edwards with Dan Slattery alongside. Jamie Nicholson then follows with Will Thomas. It's Chris Hulse, and then rounding up the grid is Jeff Sharp. Oh, it looks like a cracking start from Nicholson there. Can't remember what row of the grid he was on, but he's already side by side for the lead. Looks like we've got Nicholson up the inside as well, and what a move that is. We've got 2 cars out wide. One of them looked like Everson. Not sure who the other one was. Down to turn 3 they come. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there. Someone's gone round. Oh, it's Will Thomas again. 2 races, 2 incidents for him, unfortunately. Jeff Sharp looks like he's made some good progress there. Keeping it nice and clean. Already up to 5th place. Positions changing all over the place though. Into the last sector they come now. Oh, something's happened to Nicholson after that good move. As it got him the lead in the first corner, he has slipped all the way down to 9th. I'm sure he'll thank me for pointing that one out. Chris Hulse's car looking particularly sparkly. I don't know why that is. He's running some funky paint schemes on trading paints. We almost 3 wide here. Morris on the outside. Hulse on the inside. Sharp in the middle. Morris has run wide. Now he's side by side. No, he's not. Tucks in behind Edwards. Brian Dodd now looking around the outside of Morris. Doesn't look like it's come off though. Looks like Dodd may have a bit of a run there. Looks like Morris pulled off and let him through. May have a slowdown, may have some damage, not sure. Oh, and a wheel on the grass sends him spinning to the infield. Shame for Morris there. 3-way battle now for 3rd place. Sharp has made excellent progress in these first 2 laps. Already up to 3rd, but he's got Chris Hulse in close attendance. What is going on with Chris's car? Looks like a Pink Floyd gig. Edwards looks like he's going to make a move on the rolling concert. Down the inside he goes, gets it stopped nicely, and it's a lovely move. Looks like it's all kicking off behind as well. Race director doesn't want to have a look at that though. Edwards runs a little wide. The race director decides that he wants to look at the battle after it's happened. We've got Dodd and Thomas side by side. Thomas making an excellent recovery here. He dropped down to 10th and was away off the pack, but already back up to 7th. Oh, and Steve Everson into the barriers. Oh, this has been a scintillating opening few laps here. We've got Edwards who's run slightly wide there. Hulse forcing him to go defensive into the last turn. He's definitely going to have the run down to turn 1. Oh, Ryan Dodd hits a sausage curb there. Edwards went defensive. Hulse went on the inside anyway. Surely this is a formality into turn 1. We've also got Will Thomas up to 5th now, just behind. Edwards runs a bit wide there, and Thomas now begins his pursuit of Edwards. And we join that battle a little later on. And an excellent run through Dunlop Corner there for Will Thomas. Very nice move up the inside of Edwards, but Edwards fights back. Side by side. Oh, there's a bit of contact. There's a lot of contact. Thomas is up on 2 wheels. Edwards is now blocked. He beached. There's somebody. Oh my God, Brian's gone round as well. Absolute carnage there. So here we are with one of iRacing's more observant stewards. And there is Edwards and Thomas. Dodd goes round as well. But the steward is focused on whatever's coming towards him. No yellow flags at all. So moving forwards a little bit, we've got Jamie Nicholson closing in on Josh Morris for 7th place. Not sure what's happened to Jamie, as the last time I checked he was in 1st. He is now in 7th. Something's gone on there. Not sure what though. Well, in searching back for Jamie's misfortune, I discovered quite the battle for 1st place between Nicholson and Slattery. Don't bother calling me out on the lack of continuity. I'm aware we've gone back 4 minutes. Come through to Dunlop Corner. Slattery is right on his gearbox. As I look to the inside, just trying to force that mistake. He'll surely have that run down the main straight. Now my prior research tells me that, and there you see it, Nicholson went in for an early pit stop. As earlier said, I wasn't part of this race, so I don't know whether the early pit stop was a viable tactic or whether he just underfueled. Who knows? I suppose we will when we get to the end of the race. We now jump a fair way forward. Nothing has happened, literally. I did find this. Edwards being overtaken by his rear wing. So only a few minutes left now. We really have skipped forward here. You'd think it was back in COVID times with the amount of social distancing that's going on in this race. But I did find a battle. This is Hulse and Nicholson. Hulse weaving on the straight, being a naughty boy. Nicholson pulls out to go around the outside. Around the outside, around the outside. Shout out to those M&M fans. They're still side by side. Nicholson will now have the inside line through turn 3. Hulse looks to get the switch back. Nicholson's run a little bit wide over the curbs. Oh, we've had to wait a while, but this is shaping up for a great battle. Hulse down the inside. Ooh, had to bail out of that one. Nicholson looked like he was going to chop his nose off for a minute. Tell you what, wait for buses and 2 come along at once. Controversy on the last lap here. Nicholson safe seemingly from Hulse there. Probably about a 2-second gap, but a recovering Brian Dodd. You can see him there. Had a spin. Nicholson gets sausaged rather firmly. Then Hulse tries to make the most of it. There was a bit of contact and Nicholson's rear wing says fuck that and just falls off, allowing Hulse to come through and claim 3rd place, his second 3rd place of the season, in the second race of the season as well. So that's 100% 3rd place record there for Hulse. Unfortunate stuff there for Nicholson. Got caught up in Brian Dodd's incident. Looked a bit unfortunate there. So here we are on board with Hulse on his rear wing. Less namby-pamby than Nicholson's rear wing, it would appear. Looks at that gap on the inside. There's a slight bit of contact, and then about 30 seconds after the contact, like a footballer, that rear wing falls down at the lightest touch. And that is what hands Hulse 3rd place and the final spot on the podium. So there we have it. Final rundown of the results. So Dan Slattery, after that mega start, comes home first from Jeff Sharp, who's taken a 1st and a 2nd at this meeting. He'll be chuffed with that. Chris Hulse, as extensively covered in the most recent highlights, claims 3rd place, with Jamie Nicholson coming in just behind on 4th. And we barely saw him all race. Steve Everson in 5th, with Josh Morris in 6th. Brian Dodd came home 7th, with Paul Nicholson in 8th. We had 2 retirees, Axel Edwards and Will Thomas, classified as 9th and 10th there. I think they'll still pick up 2 points and 1 point respectively. But yeah, an unfortunate day for those 2. Right, that probably summarises the highlights. So thank you very much for watching. Next week we will have highlights of... Oh, I shouldn't have done this. I can't remember what highlights. You'll find out next week. Yeah, more highlights will be had. Cheerio. Actually, you know what? I do know what bloody highlights it was. It's the IR18s at Daytona, I think. Either way, it was another open wheeler. Join the movement. There's a conspiracy against me that I don't get to race the open wheel races these days. Strategically led, I believe, by Jeff Sharp. But yeah, join the movement. Bye.